The name Transalp returns to Brazil with a new concept, an all-new engine, and a lot of onboard technology. I'm here at the Capoava racetrack, invited by Honda to test their newest release. And in this video, you'll learn about technical features, colors, price, and when it's coming, as well as my first impressions riding the new Transalp. I'm Amanda Pagliari if you're new here. This is Brazil's most charming motorcycle channel, featuring the best new two-wheel releases. Smash the like button and subscribe because this video covers first impressions. When the full in-depth motoplay style video comes out with the pros and cons, you'll be the first to know. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos. The fourth generation of Transalp is coming to Brazil. It had already been launched in Europe, but only now, at the end of 2025, has it arrived in our market. And yes, it's a big trail, but it's extra large, meaning it's a motorcycle for all terrains since it comes with spoked wheels, rim 21, but it's for you to take long trips, to get around, to travel a lot, but with a lot of comfort. The design is similar to the first generation Transalp. We have robust fairings, a tough-looking bike, but without being that bulky thing the old Transalp was. In my view, it's beautiful, and you have a compact bike. The seat here is one piece. It's a single type precisely to bring comfort to both the rider and the passenger. Integrated aluminum handle here, rider's foot peg with these little grips also rubberized, which you can remove, and the passenger's foot peg here is retractable and made of aluminum. All the lighting is full LED. In fact, its headlight is the same as the Hornet 750, but of course with a different cover. By the way, I found it very beautiful, in my opinion, the design here, the optical set here at the front. LED turn signals are always on. This brings more safety because it shows the vehicle in front of you that there's a motorcycle behind. It has the automatic turn signal cancellation system and also the emergency stop signal system. When you make a sudden emergency stop at a certain speed, the rear blinkers will automatically be activated to warn the vehicle behind you that something happened and they should pay attention, and that brings more safety to your riding. Regarding the height, it has 85.5 centimeters from the seat to the ground. I'll get on here so you can see. Look, I'm 5'10" and I can put both feet on the ground without any difficulty. Just out of curiosity, its height is the lowest you can get on the Africa Twin, right? With the seat low and everything. So this one is a slightly more accessible big bike, even though it also has a 21-inch front wheel and an 18-inch rear wheel, just like the Africa Twin. This lower bike is, in my opinion, much more accessible for shorter men and women. And the riding position here is very comfortable. The first impression I had of the seat here is that it's comfortable. Let's see how it handles long trips. A full review video is coming soon. And here we have the riding position. My arms are really comfortable here. The windshield isn't adjustable, it's fixed. You have to see on the road how the wind will be. If it's going to blow a lot of wind in your direction, on your helmet, okay? However, it doesn't have any adjustment, I'm telling you now. In general, this is a very comfortable position. The front of this motorcycle is fixed. You turn the handlebars here. However, you have a very high steering angle. Just out of curiosity, it turns more than the Africa Twin. And you have a motorcycle with a lightweight, compact chassis. It's the same chassis as the Hornet, but with the subframe here at the back, much more reinforced. Since this motorcycle carries both a passenger and luggage, you need extra reinforcement. But just so you know, it's actually a lighter chassis than the NX500, which is, let's say, a smaller bike than the Transalp. This motorcycle's compact design is very helpful off-road, and it weighs 193 kilos, that's dry weight, not counting the fluids and the fuel tank, which has a capacity of 16.6 liters of gasoline. The engine is a completely new platform, this engine here, with 755 cubic centimeters. What stood out most to me was the vortex technology, which I'll briefly explain as shown in the image. The air comes in, creates something like vortices, and with that, it generates more pressure and speed. And then, depending on the size of the ducts, it directs the cold air that enters the engine with a lot of force and pressure, generating more power, more performance, and efficiency, let's say. Besides that, the fuel pump is the same as the one in the Fireblade Triple R. In other words, this engine setup with this technology gives the engine torque, power, more efficiency, and also less fuel consumption. And this liquid-cooled twin cylinder generates 7.04 kilogram force meters of torque at 7,000 revolutions per minute and 69.3 maximum horsepower at 7,000 revolutions per minute. A significant difference compared to the European Transalp, which has a lot more horsepower. In just a moment, don't go anywhere because I'm going to ask Honda right there in front of Honda why the Brazilian version came with less horsepower. Stay tuned. And it has a final chain drive, 6 gears, and a slipper and assist clutch. What is this technology? The assist technology makes it smoother when you pull the clutch lever, and the slipper technology prevents the rear wheel from locking up when you downshift abruptly. The front suspension has no adjustments. It's from Showa with that separate function fork big piston technology that separates the hydraulic function from the spring. It's an inverted fork with 200 millimeters of travel. At the rear, there's Showa Pro Link with 190 mm of travel and external gas reservoir and spring preload adjustment. For the brakes, we have dual discs with 310 millimeters in diameter in the Wave or Margarita style with Nissin 2-piston calipers. And at the rear, we have a single disc with 256 millimeters in diameter. And it comes with a USB Type-C port under the seat here with this cover. And to put your phone, you place it right here in this part. The dashboard is 100% digital and it has the same size as the 500. However, it's not the same dashboard, since here it has other information, including different icons. For example, you can already see the little heart here. Hold on, I'll explain what it is in a moment. It has a lot of information. So right here, you can already see the fuel gauge, the tachometer, here the speedometer. And you also have the gear indicator, which is in first gear. Up here, you have the clock information, temperature. Below, you have service information, here for the high beam. And here on the side, you have information from the onboard computer. Like the 500s, this dashboard lets you switch the background between white and black and offers 3 layout options. Here in this gear icon, you can adjust the motorcycle settings so you can see the types of dashboards, the brightness, the background, if you want it white, black, or automatic. Really cool. Favorite information, right? Here you can choose which information will appear there for you. Also, right here, there's the star button, which is the favorite button that you can set up if you want to use it to turn off the ABS, right? Or if you want to reset the odometer. Anyway, guys, there's a lot of information here, presets, assistance information. What I wanted to show you something cool are the riding modes. You use the right button directly, then you have the riding modes. There's standard for road mode, sport and rain for wet conditions. Then there's gravel mode, an off-road setting that includes ABS. You can't disable ABS in gravel mode, but you do get a more advanced off-road mode. And then there's user 1 and user 2. So what do? In the configuration here, in the driving mode, you can set the user so you have 1 and 2. Check this out. On this side, you have your reference for the existing mode. And here you can adjust the power, the engine brake. Here on the traction control, you can even turn off the traction control by setting it to 0 and also turn off the ABS. So it's a really cool feature you have there, this control that you can adjust on the motorcycle. And then on the screen, you have all the possible maps that you can configure on the Transalp 750. Remember that every time you restart it, the traction control and also the ABS will turn on for safety. And it doesn't have connectivity like the European version. And to answer this and other questions, I brought Luis Gustavo from Honda here. How are you, Luis?
Hi, Amanda. How are you? Motoplay followers, how's it going?
Well, let's get straight to the point because I'm sure you want to know why the Transalp doesn't come with connectivity like the version available in Europe.
Yes, let's go. With the same process that we go through, right, for homologation, for launching the bikes, just like we saw with the NX 500 and the CB 650. For the Transalp, right, we have the same situation too. The homologation process with the regulatory agencies, especially for communications, the process of getting authorization to use the signal waves, right, mainly because of Bluetooth, so we can enable it. So we're in that process, we're in line, negotiating. That's why we find some models. Even as was announced at the beginning of this month, the CB mill, the Hornet mill, it already comes with connectivity. Why? Is the current CB mill already approved and enabled to use the technology? So We've already continued this process with the model that's coming. Exactly.
That's bad. Well, still talking about the European version versus the Brazilian version. Why does this bike have so much less horsepower compared to the European version? Was it because Honda wanted it that way?
No, not at all. That's not even the case.
I mention this because many people claim Honda planned to bring a weaker engine to Brazil.
No, the engine is actually the same as the one offered in Europe and other markets. It's just that in Brazil, we have some regulatory standards, both for emissions and noise, with different emission methods. Our emission standard, Promoto 5, is very similar to Euro 5. What changes is the format, right? The process of measuring noise emissions. And then in Brazil, we have some differences compared to other countries, especially in Europe, as you mentioned. So we need to adapt. So to meet Brazilian standards, there is this adjustment of engine performance so that the model can be approved and made available. And then we can see that in everyday performance, right? Like you rode here, the motorcycle delivers a performance and results that match its purpose. Of course, in Europe, we have this difference, but for our market, it manages to meet expectations.
And then to adapt to this, you didn't just reduce the power, you also changed the motorcycle's mapping.
Yes. For the Transalp, we have 4 maps, right? Totally factory preset plus 2 configurable ones. So in this way, it adjusts the entire torque and power curve based on these configurable maps of the bike and also the homologated maps to provide the best setup for each riding condition.
So guys, this doesn't happen only with Honda, and it doesn't happen only with the Transalp. It happens with other brands, with other bikes. Unfortunately, that's our country. So Honda doesn't make more money by reducing the engine. On the contrary, you all are going to keep complaining, I know. Now, this question is personal because they don't have it abroad, okay? The version with spoked wheels without an inner tube. I know it's a global product brought to Brazil, not developed here, so Honda Brazil may not have that answer. But since this is an all-terrain bike, however, it doesn't have that more CRF-like proposal like the Africa Twin, where maybe it would make sense to have a spoked wheel with an inner tube. Why didn't the Transalp come with that proposal with spoked tires, spoked wheels without an inner tube?
Okay, yes. What happens? Well, even as you said, it doesn't have a whole definition, a CRF character, a bit more off-road like the Africa Twin. But it's that kind of bike you can use both for daily commuting and for taking a trip around the world. So I can take on all kinds of terrain. So to make sure the user, the rider is riding and on terrain, especially when there are a lot of rocks. On a tubeless rim, if it happens, any dent on the edge will cause the tire to deflate and you'll be left stranded. A tire with an inner tube will prevent this, thanks to the rim edge shape and other factors. So, thinking about ease of use in adverse conditions, Honda chose to keep the inner tube.
All right, then, thank you.
You're welcome. See you later.
And now that I've already told you everything about her, we've also cleared up our doubts with Honda. We'll ride it on dirt and the track, then end the video with the price, features, and release date. Let's go. Guys, very first impressions here on the Transalp. Right off the bat, I found the seat very comfortable. Wow, the riding position of this bike. Wow, my first impression is comfort. Wow, agility. And we're already about to enter the land here. Man, the bike is very strong at low speeds, which is great for off-road use. Man, this bike is so easy to ride. It feels like a 500cc. This bike is really easy to ride. It's really easy to handle. It's really nice to ride. The support you get here on the tank with your legs is really comfortable. Of course, guys, this is just a first impressions test at a launch event on a controlled track. With time, we have time to do things. Record, and I don't know what else. It's not a test, as we say, a real test, right? Traveling and riding around on the motorcycle, but these first impressions here, I'm already really liking it. now testing it here on the track. After all, this is a bike made for traveling, for hitting the road, and a lot of people are going to take a lot of turns right around. I think Brazilians really like that, a bike that can handle any terrain, especially because of the roads in Brazil, right? Often there's no asphalt at all. And also that it's good for you to take corners at high speed so you can ride skillfully on the asphalt. Guys, this bike is so nice to ride on the track. Wow, it's really nice to ride and to take corners with. And before I finish the video with the price and also my opinion, here's a summary about it. So what did I think of the new Transalp? In my opinion, the comfort, not just the seat here, okay, you have to see on long trips, but I like the seat, I like the riding position, it fit me very well, the mode I rode it in here, very good on dirt, really nice. On the asphalt here, on the track, wow, very easy to handle, agile. So I think this is a really nice bike in the sense that you can travel everywhere with it very comfortably. You have the T7, which is its direct competitor, both in Brazil and in Europe. However, here you have a slightly more comfortable proposal, mainly for riding with a passenger. On the T7, you have a more extreme use for off-road. I haven't ridden the T7 yet, but my opinion is that the Transalp is much more balanced for those who want to travel on the highway, you know, on asphalt, and also take some roads or even go off-road. That's my opinion. And it is available in two colors, with a suggested retail price starting at 65,545 Rs. So that's it. If you liked the video, leave a like and share it with your friends, WhatsApp groups, and Facebook. Whoever had the old Transalp too, right? Go ahead and share it with the nostalgic crowd. I'm sure they'll love it. Guys, this was a first impressions video, technical specs, and some questions with Honda. A full review will cover pros and cons. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel so as soon as it comes out, you'll be the first to know about the pros, which there are a few, okay? But I'll leave that for the full review video, okay? Up here, I left the video of the new Hornet 750 that we recorded here on the same day. And down here, I left a really cool video for you. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and become a member. Enjoy low prices with plenty of benefits, including giveaways and exclusive content. See you next time, Motokiss.